Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Here I am reading because I'm about to drop some information regarding these pinballs. Pinballs in a Kickstarter is like doing a car in a Kickstarter or a motorcycle. It's just, you got to take a chance, right? It's a leap of faith and a pretty big one. If you look at commercial arcades, for example, how much are they? $7,000, $12,000? It could be a bunch of money. Why is that? Why do you think these are so expensive? Because there's work, there's engineering that goes into them, and some of the things people don't consider and is the budget, the work, the actual talent it takes to make these machines. You have to remember, it's not only that a machine has to be entertaining, it's controlled physics. Controlled physics, that's right. Listen, guys, when it comes to making these machines, you have to be precise. You looked at Kong's video, you saw what he was dealing with that piece of plastic came off. Do you think they use plastic? A lot of plastic in the layouts of these machines, when they're charging $12,000? No. And let me explain to you why. Pinball is precision, it's engineering, it's controlled physics. It really is. So when you're designing one of these, it's just you're not only engaging in something that has entertainment value behind it, right? Behind your design has to be good engineering. You have to have a good team to put it together because the tolerances that you're dealing with here are crazy. So just to give you an example, a human hair. A human hair is about 3/1000ths of an inch, right? Give or take, but around there, and you have to keep those kind of tolerances in order to have a precise machine. The pinball itself, right? The pinball itself has to be true, and they have to be true to each other. Every single pinball that goes into that machine has to be roughly the same size, and the difference is about the width of a human hair. Remember, these balls have to move fast, and they have to enter ramps into at a certain angle, right, depending how you fire them in order for them to go in correctly. And you have to have predictable models of how the balls are going to interact, right, and what it's going to do. And even the ramps, right, the everything that's in there is precision work, precision engineering. So if you think that you're going to get $12,000 worth of work and a $1,000, or even if it's a $7,000 machine on the low end, if you think that you're gonna get that in a piece of equipment that is $1,000, you are sadly mistaken. You're gonna get plastic. You're gonna get other things, right? You're gonna get materials that don't have as tight a tolerance, and that makes the experience different, completely different, right? So if you're looking at a typical playing field of a pinball, and I'm going off memory here, has to be pretty flat, right? And the flatness has to be between 1 and 3 thou, right? You want to keep it pretty tight if you're on the higher end of the spectrum as far as machines. If not, maybe you want to keep it at 20,000, 20,000ths of an inch. But if you're a premium manufacturer of tables, you're keeping very tight tolerances, similar to what they use in precise manufacturing, like military or aerospace, for example. And these surfaces have to be inspected, right? They have to be true. These models that are created are actually 3D models that the manufacturer or the machinist has to follow, right? Which they manufacture to, and they have to keep them precise. You can't be within the ballpark or something, right? The ramps that the balls go through usually have anywhere from 20 to 30,000, variance, right? That there's still be intolerance to be true for the gameplay to be consistent. But these are very small tolerances. When I say, 30,000ths, for example, that's 10 hairs. And the way they machine these, right, in the higher end machines, they use instead of using typical dimensioning, in a Cartesian system, in addition to that, right, in addition to those dimensions, they use 3D models that involve a lot of G, D, and T, geometric dimension intolerancing. And those profiles are very tight. We call profile tolerances in the business, right? We call them the mother of all tolerances, right? Because they control the form of the piece, whether it's a ramp or it's a little tunnel that you're going through, the bumpers. I mean, when you think of tolerances, you have to think of it in every place of the machine, right? And you're not going to get that with plastic. You're not getting you can get it the first time maybe, but consistently as it wears, you're not going to get it to 3/1000ths of an inch. You're not going to get 2/1000ths flatness across. The angle of that plane has to be within 6.5, 7 degrees in order for your machine to function correctly, and it has to be consistently flat. It's not going to be sitting on plastic that warps that you glued on. No, you need metal for precision. You need metal, and you need a lot of it. So when you start playing these machines, you're going to feel it right away. You're going to feel it right away, just like you feel anything in quality. I was talking earlier today about, the chromatic being the Rolex of Game Boys when it comes to manufacturing. It's the same thing for pinballs. You can't compare a real pinball by a major manufacturer to something like this. It's always going to fall short because there's not enough money in it. A machinist, a good machinist is going to charge you like $50 an hour to set up the machine, whether it's a lathe or a mill, right? They're going to set it up. They're going to be precise. They're going to give you every piece, right? They're going to have precision and accuracy, right? So you have to be accurate to hit your targets, and then you have to have enough precision to be consistent over time. They're not the same thing, right? Intolerance, but if it varies too much, right? If your tolerances are going like this all over the place, then your machine is not going to function correctly. If one of the ramps, say it's 20,000 higher than the other one, you're going to see that imbalance when you're playing, right? You're going to see the difference because you have to keep the consistency. And after you manufacture it, you have to inspect it for quality control. How are you going to do it? You think you're going to eyeball these with plastic? Sure, why not? You just roll the ball down. Is it straight? Okay, yeah, that's fine. You're not with a $7,000 to $12,000 piece. Absolutely not. While you're manufacturing, you're checking your machine and your machine and process, whether you're using a ferro arm, right, which is a coordinated measuring machine that you can use by hand, or you can put the entire table. You can sit it on a CMM machine and just have it inspected automatically for consistency. You can just imagine the work that goes into a real pinball machine. You can't compare that to something that you're going to put together with $1,000. It's nuts. It doesn't even pay for the labor to make a good machine. So those expectations should be tempered. I mean, if you think you're going to have targets and alignment and precision and accuracy with something that you're going to put together with $1,000, I mean, is it the engineering alone is going to run you a couple thousand, right? So you can you can get away with it with these arcade machines where it really is just a big ornament that you're not going to use, but it's a different customer when it comes to pinballs. Pinballs, you know exactly what you're feeling. If you're going to do a pinball, let me tell you, just do one of those screen pinballs, whatever it is. You'll probably have more luck getting that done than an actual pinball. There is no way, unless you're going to do a Kickstarter with people that have done it for years and years and years, because it also takes experience. You just can't get, somebody off the street to start building these. Somebody in the team has to have experience, so you have actually a goalpost to hit. Right, because if you're just going off blueprints and models, and nobody's ever played an arcade machine, you're going to get disaster. Yeah, somebody can put it together with plastic and everything else. It might look good, but a pinball is about functionality, and that functionality comes from design, from engineering, from quality, from inspection, from a disciplined manufacturing process that you can only get if you have the budget to do it. And if you don't have the budget, you know, what are you going to do? You can't make money appear. People are not going to work for free. You're not going to get industry professionals that make, $50, $60 an hour to show up just just because you have a dream. Guys, I'm telling you, when it comes to pinball machine, you guys can waste as much money as you want on these Kickstarters. It's not going to be mine. Making the table is easy, right? The dimensions on the table itself, that's the easy part. The engineering on the table itself, that takes some expertise, right? That takes some expertise by people with experience, people that know the machines, people that know the processes, that can hold those tight dimensions to make sure that the engineering and the design that whoever put the machine together is able to be translated into a piece that you can enjoy. Kickstarter pinballs are a terrible idea. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.